صباح الخير. This is, do you hear me well, and you can see the screen well? You can see in the chat, yes. Thank you, Maha. My name is Ala Shaheen, and I will be walking you today through this more short webinar on developing business opportunities pipeline. And my name is Ala Shaheen again, and I'm working for DARPE. I'm the director of DARPE, the Development Assistance Roadmap Portal of the Middle East, in Egypt, of the Middle East. We are stationed in Cairo, in Egypt, but we cover the whole MENA region. As you know, that DARPE in our website or our platform is mainly we help development consulting firms, solution providers, and non-profit organizations, NGOs, to grow their businesses and sustain their organizations, mainly financially, in a consistent and strategical manner and more efficient. That such support of DARPE to these organizations and to our members will help them contribute. This will help them to increase the number of contracts and the grant awards they are getting from the development aid or the international development sector in the Middle East. This will increase their enhanced level of revenues, supporting the business growth and sometimes profitable business growth for the consulting firms, as well as for the organizational sustainability of non-governmental organizations working in the Middle East. By knowing the in and outs of exactly what they need, what they need to have, and what kind of skills and tools and information they need to have in their hands in order to be able to secure such funding needs and contracts winning requirements, needs of the businesses. What we do, the way that we do it is through, we are pulling in all the information from different sources, and we classify these information together to classify the information as much as we can in a reliable, so we can afford a reliable search engine for our members, and we artificially connect these information together. This will connect the funding opportunity with the information necessary, like connecting the funding opportunity with a business intelligence profile for the client organization, with procurement notices, similar procurement notices, and procurement notices of the same client before that have been issued by the client, who has been working with the client, a list of partners worked with the client, so we can easily understand and filter potential competitors and partners. And knowing more about the client organization, so you can be able to provide client-focused proposal by understanding more about the client organization. I mean, the client organization is the funding agency or the implementing partner which issues the request for proposal or that terms of reference. So this kind of classification to make a reliable search engine so that it saves time and cost, as well as connecting the business opportunity with the information necessary to develop a winning proposal. This is what we provide our members with what we call the connected experience, and the value of connected experience. When you connect things together, it starts to be like a puzzle game, and the whole picture starts to appear, and you can easily be able to respond more effectively, more successfully, and engage even more informatively and intelligently with partners, funding partners and implementing partners alike. Start our webinar today is development of a pipeline. Every business developer, I have something on the chat, yeah, sorry. So every business developer or partnership specialist or proposal developer or proposal development specialist, they usually the first thing they start doing their work and growing their businesses by identifying potential business opportunities of tenders and grants. Tenders, you mean request for proposals, asking for services provision, and grants, request for application, asking NGOs and non-profit organizations and think tanks to apply for a grant to manage to implement a specific project with specific objectives and outcomes. So what the business developer is usually looking for is the opportunities themselves, the tenders and the grants opportunities. And usually people face so many problems and so many issues in gathering and collecting such data, such opportunities that they will respond to in the proposals. This is the process in the international development sector, making the sector more competitive and effective and transparent. So things are publicly announced and publicly competed. So usually is filtering or identifying these business opportunities as the pipeline, the funnel, are very important because these are the starting point for any organization, non-profit or profit or consulting firm, development consulting firm, or a non-governmental, to start with responding to clients. To responding to these requests for proposals is by preparing a proposal against the deadline, and hopefully it will be a winning proposal. Even usually, some development consulting firms, they submit proposals not to win the proposal, but they submit the proposal they think or they believe that this is an entry point in which they can put something on the table, like a document, to the client, so they can introduce themselves to the client or the funding agency, and the funding agency start learning more about such NGOs from the proposal they have submitted, and so on. They can start building a relationship. And hopefully to a relationship that will be informed, may be a professional relationship that will, at the end of the day, secure partnerships. When you see secure partnerships, secure agreements of working together. So again, the most important is to be able to identify and receive all tender and grant opportunities. And this is the first step to populate your pipeline, we call business opportunities pipeline. These are coming from different sources, sometimes coming from the word of mouth, sometimes these tender and grants coming from newspapers, advertisements. These opportunities are shared through different Facebook groups, and these procurement opportunities or tender and grant opportunities are shared, advertised on the websites of these organizations, the client organizations. Or there is, like we call, aggregated service providers who can aggregate all these data together and classify and support members of saving their time and cost by supplying their members of these tenders and the grant opportunities. In the international development sector, I don't think someone can able to count exactly for a full 100% confidence rate of how many organizations are there in the field. So in the development, the business in the Middle East region, the MENA region, we have found that there is about 1,150 organizations usually issue procurement notices, tenders, and grants opportunities. 1,150 plus donor agencies or implementing partners of international organizations, regional and national NGOs. They have procurement requirements of services. They want consultants. They want technical assistance. They want training. They want advocacy and awareness raising. They want policy reform and legislation issues, and or implement projects in humanitarian needs and assistance. So there are 1,000 plus organizations are in there, and every day there is growing and new emerging organizations are there in the market. It's a very dynamic sector. This development aid sector. It's a very dynamic, and it's very lucrative as well, because there are in the Middle East there are several billions of US dollars yearly are provided to the throughout the countries of the Middle East from the east to the west, and from these implemented and funded by these bilateral, multilateral organizations, by development banks, by corporate social responsibility, by international organizations themselves. Either they are getting the grants from the bilateral of the governments themselves, like the KfW or the USAID or European Union, or international organizations have their own funding mechanisms and funding streams in which they get in funding from different sources, from individuals, and they pool these resources together and they start implementing projects. So there's thousands of these organizations in the Middle East. This is the trick of the game. How can we be able to identify these opportunities from these thousands of organizations, rather than only relying on just a small list of organizations that we know about and everyone knows about, and then we just track them, and the competition is so high, and there are so many opportunities out there that competition is this fierce, and maybe opportunities are more strategic to your organization or your consulting firm or NGO, and more related and relevant, and the winning probability might be higher. So, as I said, the first idea to populate, the first step to populate your business opportunities pipeline is to really have a source consistent, and the consistency is the trick of the game that you have on daily basis. So it's a consistent, because you might lose a single opportunity that because of 1 month you haven't been able to track and to look for opportunities as a business developer, and then a great opportunity have been lost, have passed by you without even knowing about it, and that opportunity may make a dramatic shift in your organization, in your vision, in your mission, or support the activities that you are working in. So it's a consistently tracking and identifying these opportunities from the whole range of the development aid ecosystem in the Middle East, and in the region and the Middle East as well, in the whole world as a development aid ecosystem. I just explained, with bilateral, multilateral, international organizations, corporates, emerging foundations, international organizations, and so on, UN organization, and then a list will grow and grow and grow. So first, identify these opportunities. And these opportunities usually, the first step is, there's two ways of the tracking or populating your pipeline. The first step is an initial filtration step, and the second one is a second filtration step. So usually you are looking for forecasts, opportunities that donor agencies put on the ground, on the table, but they haven't specified a certain deadline for submitting the proposal. And here they just inform the market that we have an opportunity, or we are planning to fund a specific grant in a specific country, or we are planning to fund a specific contract of technical assistance in a specific sector in a specific country. It's like a forecast. So this makes the market players of grantees, NGOs, and contractors, private consulting firms, to start studying and researching about these opportunities. So in order to prepare themselves to develop more solid and effective solutions and programmatic solutions, which is equal proposal, to implement the program and deliver the results that the client and the organization or the consulting firm would like to achieve. These forecasts, and sometimes they call it requests for information, like USAID call it requests for information, and even the UK development or the UK aid, the Commonwealth Office, they call it marketing events or market events, in which they start having a call for information session or request for application session, which they inform and they talk about the opportunity in Syria, or opportunity in Libya, or in Iraq, or in Egypt, and so on, in which people can learn as again to improve to be ready you have to be ready and have enough time to think and brainstorm into thoughtful ideas that makes your proposal stronger, and accordingly development aid outcomes are stronger. And this on the second hand, these organizations make these requests for information or forecasts or market events, as I just mentioned, in order also they can collect more information from the players themselves on the ground in terms of relevancy, in terms of safety, in terms of risk issues, in terms of existing programs, so they can build synergy on. Accordingly, the TOR, the request for proposal, it is published again, in which enters into the procurement sensitivity period. This request for proposal will be better. Accordingly, the responses will be better. And once the responses are better, which are the proposals, hopefully the implementation will be, the delivery will be better, and so on and so on. And then there's monitoring and evaluation and to improve. So it's a long process to have development aid outcomes, results more meaningful, making more sense by having these revisions and processes and steps while they issue the request for proposal or request for information and the RFP after that, or request for application after that, and so on. So you have to, organizations usually, consulting firms and NGOs, the type of opportunities they are looking for to populate their business opportunities pipeline are forecasts or requests for information, requests for proposals, expressions of interests, requests for quotations, or requests for qualification, and requests for application. These different names of a procurement method or document that is in the market, in which you start collecting them, and actually, but it's not collecting them, and they have to go through what we call a process of filtration, the initial process of filtration that you need to, it's like a funnel. So you have all of these data available in the market, whatever sources you put these business intelligence and procurement notices, goes into the inside the funnel, and here you start narrowing them. You need to narrow these information per sectors and per services, per the sectors that are relevant to your areas of expertise, per the services that are relevant to your professional areas of expertise, and to the countries and locations that you are interested in. So you start filtering. So in having, for instance, 20 opportunities this month, then you filter them into 10 opportunities, and these filtered after have been filtered through the initial filtration, very, very, very easy filtration, sectors, services, and countries of interest. You come up with those 10 potential opportunities for you to bid. You take these 10 potential opportunities into then you take them a little bit to expand them, to study them into what we call the pipeline, the opportunities pipeline. The opportunities pipeline, it's simply an Excel sheet, and in which you start putting your procurement, the identified procurement notices, but in a structured manner and a scientific way by starting tackling each item by item. Item by item within the request for proposal, these opportunities, in order to understand them more and in order to start making an informed business decision-making processes to go or not to go. These items I have just put the most important items, but sometimes pipeline developers, when they develop their pipeline of opportunities, they might have additional items to add, and this is depending on how complicated the proposal development machine, how complicated their business development capturing processes, so in which they can capture. The most common Excel sheet to develop, we start with the first column with the opportunity name, the name of the request for proposal, or the name of the request for application, then the country of interest for this project, who is the client, the name of the client, will be very good to have contact information for the client, because if it is a request for information stage or it's a forecast stage, you can still easily connect with the client or organization and can talk to and can communicate to understand more about this opportunity. So once you understand more about the opportunity, you will certainly have a better response and a better proposal. So the contact information of the client, followed by what is the opportunity type or stage? Is it a request for proposal with a deadline, or is it a request for information or market events or forecast with a no deadline? So you need to understand where you are, where the proposal, the RFP or the RFA, these opportunities, where they do stand in the procurement stages. So the opportunity type, the deadline, then in each opportunity, hopefully the client may provide you with an estimated revenue or total funding, total grant, or you anticipate that. So you have to get a number. This is very important, because this will determine a lot in your go or no go decision, and will determine and will indicate or will support your cost strategy later on, cost proposal strategy. So then you have this estimated value. Then you need to being able to estimate your winning probability, how much confident you are as an organization with its capabilities, understanding of the client, understanding of the sector, previous past experience, competitive assessment landscape, capture manager you have with you, the personnel or the CVs that you may provide or propose. It will bring you a winning probability that this project I win 60%, potentially I will win 70%, potentially I will win 100%, I will win 0%, I will win. For 0%, you will not put it in your opportunity pipeline. So this is another item that is important to put in your business opportunities pipeline, to make it more healthier pipeline, more stronger pipeline, scientifically structured pipeline. So you have the winning probability, and another column for teaming arrangements. Are you going to prime this contract, or are you going to sub this to be a subcontractor? And who is the prime and who is the subcontractor? So teaming arrangements, because this will determine your size, the buy size of the money, how much of this project you will have, and we call it gross revenue. The net revenue. And then reasons to bid. These are very important when you start to reasons to bid and strategy to win. And here you start putting some, as a business developer, you start putting some bullet items. Why do you think this is an important project that you would like to bid for? Is it strategic? Is it adding on your expertise? Is it expanding your geographical outreach? Is it going to strategic in an area that you think the funding trend is going through that, and that's why this opportunity you would like to start exploring to bid for and win, or even if you didn't win, to start building this momentum into that new business line according to the development A trends around you. And then you have another column for strategy to win. Strategy to win, these are the winning themes that you think you need to include in your proposal that makes your proposal a winner. Like, for instance, you will have a good partner or a prime partner with expertise with the same client. Or a strategy to win, you have a great CV or a chief of party or a team leader, XXY, to be proposed in this project. Or a strategy to win that your solution of this program will be this kind of specific solution, specific methodology. So then you have this strategy to win. So the reasons to bid and the strategy to win both do greatly inform proposal writers to develop a better proposal. This in a longer term in terms of a proposal writing, but in this, according to such a list, starting from opportunity name, country, client, name, contact information, opportunity type, deadline, estimated value, deadline meaning proposal deadline, estimated value of the contract or the grant, winning probability, teaming arrangements, reasons to bid, and strategy to bid. You will be able to, once you read that all together, you will be able to make a go or no go decision. Shall you bid for the program or you shouldn't bring with the program? Because shall you tender or you shall not tender? Shall you submit a proposal or you will not submit a proposal? And then once it's not a bid, it's a no-go, you take it out from your opportunity pipeline. So this, you don't, even if it's late, if it's still there in the opportunity pipeline, but the decision or the status is no, go or no go. So this pipeline support, this scientific structured pipeline supports you to provide strategic opportunities and supports you to identify a go or no go decision for each opportunity. In the chat, okay. So this is as I said, this list could be expanded more and more depending on the complexity and the maturity of the capture management processes your organization or your consulting firm do have in place. So why we develop this pipeline? Why we develop this pipeline? Of course, this pipeline we developed the first thing that we just mentioned. And first you have identified these opportunities, so potentially you will win. You do it in a scientific way, so you have a go or no go decision. This pipeline supports you in as well in bidding in winning. But in addition to these pipelines, they are important for a number of additional reasons in terms of business developmental activities and business development perspective. These pipelines, in these pipelines, you be able to predict and forecast revenue because you will start a pipeline of opportunities that will go for the coming 6 months or for the 1 year. The pipeline is a mix between opportunities advertised, issued, or even some client organizations that you would like to engage more proactively so you can get more opportunities. So it's predicting and forecasting your revenue. It's essential for forecasting and understanding the trends around your areas of sector of expertise, because you start having different RFPs with different clients with different scope of work, so different win strategies, different reasons to bid. So you start understand the different sectors of interest, different implementation mechanisms, understand the trending of the market and market effectiveness, how market is effective for you to work in such a market. So it predicts your revenues. It determines whether the pipe opportunities, even this one, once you develop this pipeline, will determine whether the pipeline opportunities will be sufficient for your business or sufficient or cover your business requirements to meet its business goals, because you will start having this list of a pipeline, have the list of opportunities with the total revenue, potential revenue, with a winning probability, so as to understand, oh yeah, this market, there is enough revenue, will be able to cover my business requirements or to cover my funding gaps. Or but that's why this pipeline will provide you with such information. You may come up with say, hey guys, you need to dig more and get more opportunities, or you may want to start diversify your sources of revenues to be able to sustain your business or sustain your organization. So the first important why of a pipeline, it's to predict and forecast revenue. It measures the value of the company. Imagine it measures the value of the company. Then if you have a proper pipeline, systematically, scientifically structured, like what we have just mentioned, and that's why we have this win to strategy and winning probability, as well as Why to win? Because the reader will understand how healthy your pipeline is. If you count all the gross revenues, that potential coming out total values from these opportunities that you are going to bid for, multiply by the winning probability per each. So 60% out of 1,000, so you have 6,000. 30% out of 100,000, if you bid at 30,000, you multiply the winning probability by the gross revenue or the net service revenue, whatever revenue is you are talking about. You will come up with a number that values the company revenues. So it measures your value of the company for a year or more or a 6-month period, which is we call total opportunity pipeline. Having a good pipeline indicates the company's ability to properly plan for future growth, including staffing, business lines, and asset investment decisions. Because having this pipeline you may start diversify in different countries in the Middle East, for instance. And then you may diversify in your business lines that you are going to apply. Or it may helps you to use the same professional services or expertise, but in different sectors. Start tailoring and turning your existing capacities into different programs that fits different areas by trending areas. Accordingly, you capture and you capitalize on these markets, these opportunities in the market. So either by diversifying in geography, diversifying in business lines, or adding new business lines, or using existing business lines to serve different traditional sectors that you may serve other than the ones that you have been serving. So it's an indicator of the company's ability to properly plan for future growth. And the last one is these pipelines, this populated pipeline will provide you with new leads as we go in the pipeline. So we start the pipeline from the 1st of January, for instance, with 10 opportunities, go regardless of the status. And then we come up in September with 30 opportunities are listed in that pipeline. This means that you have been able to increase by triple. And this ratio is people using to monitor the growth of the pipeline, the growth of your business pipeline, or the growth or the ratio of your business growth, or the ratio of available opportunities. So you can say for a business developer, we started with 10 opportunities, but by time we are tracking of 30 opportunities or 40 opportunities. This means that your proposal developer or business developer is alive, is competing, is active, is effective. So this is what a healthier, scientifically structured pipeline may support, not only to current tenders and grant opportunities, but to not lose a single opportunity, to go through these opportunities in a very scientific and structured manner to go or not to go, plus will support a number of business growth indicators like revenue forecasting, total company opportunity, company value, ability to plan for the future, and supports the dynamism of your business development structure or machine that you have. So it has other values than just the mere value, which is the most important to get the tenders and identify them and bid for it before the deadline and so on. It also supports other business strategic revenue prediction, value of company prediction factors and performance indicators. That's it. This is our presentation for today. And I can believe this is the main slide of today, in which you have what we call it a structured manner of identifying and following up. And this is very important. And this kind of Excel sheet, if once populated, you can use it on a monthly, weekly basis of this what we call business development meetings or business growth meetings, because this will be your starting point. This will be the document that you're on the table with everyone has a copy, and you start discussing, and you start improving, and you start populating, and you start distributing, you have something in your hands to start doing the work or the business growth and business development more consistently, strategically, systematically, and more professionally, actually. So let me ask you if you have any question until now. If I hope that I was clear enough, but do you have any question? You can raise your hand. You can write on the tag, on the chat. Any questions?
Mr. Ala, I think it would be really good if you were to explain what is the value of using aggregated sources as opposed to like tracking all of the different 1,150 different sources for opportunities. Like, what's the value of using an aggregated website?
Yeah, of course. Aggregated websites is usually use algorithms and coding, as well as personal efforts of staff, of researchers. We call them management. You call them information management officers, in which they start collecting from these old sources. This will save a lot of time and costs for consulting firms and non-governmental organizations. And not only they're saving costs and time, but sparing them navigating very complex websites like the ones of USAID and the different US aid organizations within the State Department, starting from the State Department for the embassies, or the Bureau for Population and Regulation, to another Bureau of the MENA region, or the Near East region, to the maybe Middle East Partnership Initiative, and so on. So many different bureaus and offices within that organization, where there's a lot that no one can be able to capture all of these. At the same time, there are so much very complex websites, like the one with the UK aid and other organizations, as well as there are smaller opportunities that, even if a smaller opportunity, not a larger one, but smaller opportunity might be a very turning point in the road to growth, because it might change, it might add a new line, it might add a business line, and might be easier to capture, and it might have very strategic value to your business. So having all of this together, this will support you to save your time, save your cost, and make sure that you will not pass by any single opportunity in the market without at least looking at it and make a go or no go decision on it, and then you pass this opportunity, but at least you know what's going on. So to have an aggregated source, it saves a lot of information, a lot of time, and the most importantly, the comprehensiveness and coverage of available opportunities. And there are so many available opportunities. And as I said from the early in this today, there are so many organizations on the ground from the whole world working in the Middle East, thousands of organizations, and what? Emerging ones. Even every time you learn about a new organization out there supporting projects.
We have two questions in the chat. One is asking, are there any studies on the size in US dollars of aid funding that the MENA region is receiving from all parties? Like any analysis of what the funding is going to, which countries and themes? And the second question is, how do you approach donors for unsolicited proposals?
Can you repeat the first question, please?
The first question is about the size of aid and funding that the MENA region is receiving from all parties. If there's an analysis of what kind of funding is going to which sectors and countries, etc.
Yeah, there isn't. I haven't seen a specific website that includes all donor agencies. You might find some websites like UNHCR, which they analyze United Nations for Humanitarian Commission for Refugees, where they analyze the money funded for each country and where the fund comes from, the source of funding and the total funding for refugees. And this, yes, you can find, but you can't, they may, this such information, they may miss a lot of other support projects for non-refugee, for not that sector. So there isn't specific, but a place in which you can aggregate all this information. But however, DARPE actually has this information because we track these procurement notices and we translate the number of procurement notices for each sector and type of service into visualized percentages where you can have an indication where the money goes, which sector has, which percentage each sector has in each country. 15% for women's rights program, 30% in democratic governance, 10% in economic growth, 10% or 25% of tenders in the ground are for monitoring and evaluation expertise, 30% are requesting capacity building, 5% requesting market research. So this analysis, it goes into one of the things that we have. But in general, of course, each donor agency has its own analysis where their money going through and where the money is funding, and you can easily find these visualized graphs for each donor for for each donor for each specific country in the Middle East. But to have
actually there is one website that you could go to, the financial tracking service from UNOSHA. They don't really track it for a MENA region, but they do track from one country to another, and they will give you US dollar amounts based on like what's coming from which donor agency to which country and like which like theme, and it is pretty comprehensive, but it doesn't tell you like in the MENA region as a whole. It tells you country by country, so you'll have to break it down on your own.
Yeah. For the second question, how to approach donors with unsolicited proposal, and this is what we call a proactive approach, because if you have the RFP is out and you have these listed in your pipeline, which is the title of today's session, then you are responding, you are reacting. So it's a reactive approach in which you have a specific deadline timeline that you need to apply to abide by and submit your proposal accordingly. To start unsolicited proposals mean that you have to start engaging with a good relationship and building relationship and partnership with client organization, donor agency, international organization, corporate social responsibility, whatever. And accordingly, you start having this relationship building. So it's all about relationship building. And once you have this relationship building and start exchanging of emails, meetings, exchanging of information and networking, you will be able to understand the requirements of the client, understand the needs, and you can easily even affect the client organization by creating demand on your services. So trying to create the demand of your services, and accordingly you submit these unsolicited proposals. It's a long approach, is a proactive, winning probability usually higher, but it takes a lot of effort to be able to submit capture unsolicited proposals, because these unsolicited proposals, there is no funding allocations for these, so you are creating it from the start. And in all cases, you need to engage with the client, and engagement of the client earlier, which is a proactive approach, will support your reactive approach by winning more, by having understanding of the client much more and more. So this is the second question about how to approach donors for unsolicited proposals. Okay, who else has any question? If you want to raise your hand and speak out, you can speak, if you please, if anyone would like to. Any question? Okay. We have two questions. We would like to capitalize on this opportunity having about 16 people attending today, and would like to have this opportunity for you to network with each other and to discuss things together. So we have 2 questions to discuss. So we can make breakout rooms in which you can connect with each other, guys, and learn from each other and network. But those having this breakout rooms more structured, as we have this pipeline structured, we have 2 questions, and you can select either of these questions to answer or to debate and brainstorm about. What are the challenges you face to secure contracts and or grant opportunities from the development aid sector of the MENA region? What are these challenges that you are facing to securing contracts and grant capturing and awards from the MENA region? Why you can't? What are the problems? What are the obstacles? What are the challenges? And the second question is, what methods currently do you guys use to develop your funding pipeline? So you have a funding pipeline, that's what we discussed today. What are the sources and what are the methods or the implementation mechanisms in which you are applying, you are using to develop your pipeline? And these methods or these implementation mechanisms or these techniques or tactics that you are using to develop your pipeline, what has been successful and what have been its failures? Is there any success of these tactics and failures of these tactics? So the second question is about your current scouting, your current pipeline, your current identification, and developing a pipeline that you're currently using in your NGOs or in your consulting firms. So the first one about the challenges in general, the second one about the pipeline development, and I will leave these 2 questions to you to select. So we can be divided into 3 groups. I will start making the breakout rooms now. I need to 1 minute, please. Okay, stop sharing. I will keep sharing the question. So to remember that it's about the challenges and how to the challenges in securing contracts and grants, and the second one is about developing your pipeline. So I will make this room, Christine and Noor, you will be also distributed to these rooms. So if you can go in and participate as well, so you can support the discussions. And I will make these rooms right now, and hopefully these rooms will be like a networking, and you will get you will have only 15 minutes to discuss, talk, introduce each other, and come up with 1 or 2 items for each question or for any of the questions. Okay. Now we are back. طبعا العدد قل شويه which is the normal way. احنا في group number 2 اجتمعنا مع بعض and we sat together and we found a number of issues, and I think Stephanie, would you like to just explain what you have discussed now?
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so at first we went through all the points that we talked previously before joining the breakout rooms. We talked about the importance of taking a fund, how to take it, and the best way to take it, which is at first to be so clear about your objectives, so clear about the outcomes of the activity or the project or the program that you are offering. You should be clear about the risks that you might be faced, the challenges, and how to overcome them. And that as well should be presented maybe in numbers, not maybe actually, it should be presented in numbers in order to give the funder the safety and the zone where they feel like, okay, if I give them this fund, if I give them this opportunity, they can handle it. And on top of that, we should add all the experiences, all the previous experiences we have to the proposal, أكيد, writing it in a very professional way and a very professional manner. And that will most probably ensure us to take that fund. In addition, there are some challenges for the people who are writing the proposals and the people who are implementing it. It depends on the country. I gave an example such in Lebanon. In Lebanon, there's difference in the exchange of our currency, which make it kind of hard for us to give a proper budget. And this is a slight problem due to the fact that we give a budget and the prices change on a daily basis. However, for example, we overcome this by giving the risks and reallocation of the money for the funder. And that was in my case. I don't know if I missed any point. That's the strategy to win, basically, reason to bid and the strategy to win.
Thank you, Stephanie, very much. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Now I will, Noor, do you have in your room, do you have anyone to speak out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I actually got kicked out of the room. So I think the others, well, I can sum up what was said while I was in the room, and then I'll give the floor to either Sara or Katarina, who feels more comfortable to talk about what they discussed after I was kicked out. But we essentially discussed some of the challenges for winning the bid, and we said that part of the problem is that for NGOs is that the competition is high, and organizations that have experience are more likely to get the funding. We also said that for companies, there's a lot of bureaucracy and the requirement to have a registered office within the Middle East. And then you have to, like, the scope for work is limited because opportunities often go for organizations in developing countries as opposed to ones with international offices. Katarina, did you guys discuss anything else after I was booted out?
I think this basically sums up everything we discussed. Yeah, I don't know if Sarah wants to add anything, because I think these are mainly the things we talked about. I think one thing I just put in that it just takes a lot of time applying for all these proposals, and sometimes you're just not able to do 2 or 3 at the same time, because sometimes you just have 1 or 2 people from an organization or company working on grants or proposals, and some are very demanding, so they require a lot of documents to be prepared, and yeah, that's basically it.
That's right. That's right. You are completely right, Katrina, that it's a time-consuming process. But there was a mention, Noor, you said that the money goes to the local NGOs more than that the funds more to the local NGOs and less to the international ones?
No, I think we'd mentioned, so Katarina actually works for an organization based out of the Netherlands, and they weren't able to get funding for their company for projects in the Middle East until they opened an office in the Middle East. So that was a challenge they faced.
And why is that, Katrina? You have the donor ask you to have...
Yeah, it was just for some specific grants or projects. Like for procurement opportunities, it's not so much a big deal. They're usually just looking at the service and not from where you're coming from. But for some development initiatives, it was sometimes a requirement that you're an NGO or business or social enterprise, which is actually based within the country or region this initiative takes place. So because we were founded in New Zealand, but then we opened some offices in the region, and still we're now having a head office in Bahrain, but Bahrain is also not a developing country, and sometimes it's not for all grants, but for some of the grants, it's specifically mentioned that they're looking for organizations or partners which are actually from a developing country.
But in this case, you can have a subcontractor or a sub-grant.
Yeah. Sometimes it's possible. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I would like to thank everybody to attend this webinar, and we will post the webinar recording and the presentation that I just presented We will post it on DARPE platform. You will receive an email from us about the link of the presentation and the presentation itself on the platforms. You'll receive an email in that regard. If you have any question, any information you would like to add, or you would like to discuss a project that you discuss a point that you would like to use yourself to be part of this discussion and presented, we'll be more than happy to discuss and arrange a webinar for you, as well as we will be more than happy to discuss and go with you through the process of tracking and populating your business development pipeline after the webinar, after today's. If you have anything, you need any question or a one-to-one discussion on that development of this healthy pipeline, we can talk to that, so you can improve and enhance your processes. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you for your time, and I hope that it was beneficial or an added value. And thank you so much, and all the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.